Hello, ladies. Welcome. I am so excited to be here today. I'm going to check to make sure we are streaming here. I'm getting a little bit of a delay on my end, but I am here. So excited to share with you that my new brand is live. My new brand is here, and I'm going to reveal all the details to you coming right up here. Let me know if you can see me coming through. Um, and I am like I said, I'm excited to actually get to the point where I get to share this with you, that I get to talk about some of the behind the scenes things that went into my rebrand process. If you're here, say hi. I'm going to share the link with the people who signed up to RSVP on the group. Let us know where you're watching from, and we'll get started right coming up. Hopefully you guys can't hear all the sirens over here on my end. Okay. All right. So, uh, also today, I wanted to let you know that I will be announcing the winner of the giveaway that I held on Instagram. I actually have two winners, and I'm super excited to share with you who those women are. Welcome if you're new. Over the past 6 or so weeks, I've brought to you behind the scenes of my own rebranding process. This is a process that I take my branding clients through as a brand designer as well. So it was really fun for me to get to actually move through that myself. All of those replays are pinned to the top of this group. And if you're watching this in the future, I'll also have a guide section set up in this group where you can go and watch those, or they're on my blog as well on my website. So if you're interested in seeing any of that process in more detail, say replay, and I'll give you access to that. So let me know. And then I also thought this would be a good opportunity for me to reintroduce myself. I am Allie Beck. I help women service providers create brands and websites that actually book them clients. I'm big on the strategic side of this process because I believe that's how you're going to take something that maybe looks pretty or that you like or is appealing and make it actually work to build your business and grow it to that next step where you can take those next stage level steps in your business to help it grow, to help you reach those big, scary dreams that I know each one of us have. So I've been in business for about 7 years now, just over 7 years, and I love it. I love what I do. I love that I get a chance to help other women build their businesses and live the dreams that they have. And in similar ways, I have dreams for my business and for our family's future. So it's fun to be able to partner with other women like me who are growing their businesses. And I have seen the impact that branding websites can make, and I love being a part of it. It's an honor for me. I have fine-tuned a process over the years that I've developed. It's a collaborative process. It's a partnership. It's highly custom in some ways and very high touch. It's very strategic, and it's something that I put together as I've learned over the years that the things that it takes for a brand to be successful. Because my goal is not to just give you something that you like, but something that's going to work to attract your dream client, the one that you love working with. And there's some strategy involved in this, which I talked a lot during this rebrand process. I'm also the mom of two young children, a 5-year-old girl and a 1.5-year-old boy. And yeah, wow, we're in the thick of like the young child years, and we're also older parents, so it takes some energy, but I love it, and they're so much fun. And it's also wild to see the differences between my little boy and my little girl. They are just night and day. Such a different experience this time, but also really fun. And we live in Sandpoint, Idaho, in North Idaho. It's in the panhandle of Idaho, which is really close to the Canadian border. And it's this beautiful haven with lots of lakes and rivers that, if you can survive the winter, is a wonderful place to live. Definitely today, it's kind of a good example of that. We had kind of been having this fall spring, and today I woke up to like 4 or 5 inches of snow on my deck. So yeah, it's something you learn to love or, survive. My husband and I love the outdoors, and that's why this is a great place for us to live. We are often camping and hiking, mountain biking, stand-up paddleboarding, all those things that I love, the water. So I'm in the lakes a lot, the kayaking, all that stuff. I'm also passionate about my family. My faith is very important to me. As a Christian, I believe that everything I have is God's. And trust his direction in that. So it's a big part of my life. I also love to read. I play piano, and I speak German, or at least I did at one point. It's gotten a little rusty now. But one fun random fact is that when I was a child, my dad and my sister and I lived in this like converted bus. It was like a white school bus painted with a rainbow down the side. And we lived there while my dad built our house. So that's kind of like a random trivia about me. So there's a little background about who I am. And like I said, if you've been here with me, you know that this has been a process of creating my own rebrand and going through the process I take my clients through. And I loved doing this. It was really fun to be the client and to see what it's like to be from their side a little bit, to see their perspective. And I think that that can only help me too as I continue to grow in my business, giving me a little insight of what that's like, of what it feels like to be on the client side. My original brand, when I created that, I did not have this particular process dialed in yet. I was new to business. I was still figuring things out. I had a process, but it was different. And I learned things over the years that I've gradually incorporated to create what I have today. And what I loved about it was I did experience a lot of similar things to what my clients do, of kind of that excitement of, really feeling like this is a good next step for me, but also like that kind of like curiosity going into it, like, I wonder what my brand's going to look like. Will I like it at the end? Will this work for me? Like, those were similar things that did crop up, maybe not to the extent in a client would, because I've seen the other side of it, but it was interesting to experience those feelings myself. And then also, I had very similar outcomes to my clients as I went through the process, in that leaning on the process helped me make decisions. It didn't mean that I didn't have indecision at times, or that I didn't have doubts about certain decisions that I was making, or that everything was perfect and seamless and amazing. It is normal for there to be some ups and downs in a branding process, for there to be a little bit of a winding road. And it also didn't mean that life didn't get in the way, right? Like, there are times in everybody's business when they're doing something big that you're going to get pulled away into, a family thing or a client issue or whatever that may be. But the beauty of the process is it helps keep you on track and helps move you forward. And I loved that, because I think had I done this at another time, like earlier before I had this dialed in, it might have taken me a lot longer and involved a lot more, anxiety and sort of self-doubt, those kinds of things. And in the end, when I looked back over the process, there were a few things I noticed. I ended up, and I've seen this happen to my clients. When I look at the brand that I end up with, I'm like, oh yeah, of course, this makes sense. And that's happened to me with clients too, where, maybe when they come to me, they've tried to do it DIY a few times and they just couldn't get something that was aligned, and they're looking at it and they're like, what is missing? And then they get to the end of the branding process and we both be like, oh yeah, this is the brand. Like, of course. And so it's funny how that same exact thing happened to me. The process also kept me on track when there was indecisive moments. It helped me move forward and rely on the strategy rather than my own feelings. I feel like this new brand is so much more aligned to my target market, to my message. It just feels like a fresh of breath air. And I'm really excited about moving forward and using it, because I think it's going to be a lot more effective than what I had. And the other part of it was, the other thing that I looked back and noticed was it was fun. It was a fun process. It was a process of creativity. It was a process of discovery and really digging into some things that it was nice to kind of lay out in front of me and evaluate. So I enjoyed it. And one of the things I've seen with clients too is it gives focus. It helps people make choices that are based on strategy instead of whim. And the end result is very effective. So, any brand, I know that my brand is going to evolve, right? It's not something that is set in stone. It's not something that can never change. It doesn't have to be perfect right now. I can make tweaks and changes moving forward as I start to use the brand. Sometimes you don't know the full outcome of something until you actually put it to work. And so that is part of, rebranding, is that you actually have to put it to work. So I'm going to share some before and afters here of my brand and reveal the new brand to you coming up. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Let me know if you're watching, say hi. And also, If you can see my screen when I get it shared. So it should be up and rolling. I'll check in with you guys in the group too. All right, here we go. So just to do just a quick refresher, I'm not going to go through all of this because I did this in my rebranding process before, but here's some of the strategy that I set the groundwork with when I started. And again, this is a very foundational piece that I highly recommend when you're rebranding is to look at who your target market is, to think about what your core message is, and then also the brand personality that you're going for in terms of style. Like in my case, I wanted something feminine and elegant, but distinctive and classy, those kinds of things, but also a natural element. And, you know, I've talked a lot in detail about who my target market is and what my message is, so I won't go into that again. But I wanted to just remind you that this was kind of the underpinnings of the process of what I started with. So here is my mood board originally. And so this was something again that was, you know, okay, nothing like horrible about it, right? Like it wasn't like completely off base, but it did feel a little bit generic and sort of stock photo. So I had mentioned that before. And so here is the new mood board. And we did have a poll running. So some of you have seen this and some of the other options, and then saw the tweaks that I made to end up with what I did. And then after I did the mood board, I added in the colors that went with it. And I talked a little bit about some of the things I was looking for with that color palette and the variety of needing light colors, but also needing dark and some bold, some richer colors, those kinds of things. And I also did a lot of color psychology research to make sure that my colors are in line with the message that I want to send. So that's kind of the style inspiration. And this isn't something that I would necessarily like share all the time. It just gives me like a roadmap. It's like a blueprint for a house, right? Like it sets the stage for what you're going for in the future. And that way you know how to like move forward and make sure you're staying in line with that. So everything I create in terms of like logos and fonts and everything in the future, or my, you know, maybe I do business cards or whatever, I'm going to kind of put up against this mood board and make sure am I staying in line with that style. So it's a roadmap. Here's my original logo. And again, I wouldn't say there's anything like hugely wrong with it. There are things that I don't like about it. There are some things that weren't coherent or not, or cohesive, I guess, with my or the rest of my brand. And so some things were off about that. And I just wanted it to be a little more elevated, a little more sophisticated. And so I showed you guys three options, and I loved hearing your thoughts, by the way. So thank you to everyone who spent time giving feedback, voting. It was very interesting. It was actually split pretty evenly between the three, but A and C were tied for first. Like it was kind of funny to see that there was strong opinions in all of these camps, and people like were very loyal to what, you know, the choice that they made, which I loved. And so I loved hearing your perspective. Um, and in the end, the choice that I ended up going with is A. And I'll talk about why. There's a few reasons. There were elements, I will say, of the other two that were maybe just like a little more distinctive or stylized, and I did like that about those two. You know, the little wave and the A and B. You know, I had some comments about that, of that just having this refinement about it, that they loved. And then, you know, just the script having kind of that friendly, free-flowing flow. But the problem was there were challenges with B and C that kind of led me back to A. So first off with C, this script that I use for that, the alley part of my name, is not a script that I could use for my accent font for a number of reasons. And so what it would have meant is that I would then have two different, I would have a different font for my accent font as my logo, and they were, you know, the direction I was going was very different. So it would have been harder to keep cohesive with my fonts there. And then it is just not as scalable, and it's a little hard to read. Like the two L's almost look like a U. So I worried about readability there. It also wasn't as easy to come up with a submark. So as I was brainstorming ideas about what that would be for C, it was just, there weren't like clear options there. And then B, the problem that I had with that one is it looked like the A looks like a little bit like a backward S. So that could be a little misleading. And it was not as the font that I used was not one, there were some issues with it that made it tough for me to use it for branding, which I mean, I could have used a different font, but I do like kind of staying consistent. Um, so the other part about A, like, so those were like the downsides of the other one that helped with elimination. But what really I love about A is that there's some kind of meaning baked into it that I think is nice. For one, I took the leaf out of the inside of the A, so there's a balance there of the A having that similar shape and then the leaf at the top of the K having similar shape. I also love that the K supports the leaf, like it's a similar thing that I want to convey about my clients that like I'm here to support you, I'm here to lift you up and to raise your business to this new level. And so I think that's that the logo is taking that action, and I love that it has that meaning behind it. And I like that it still has a refinement and a classiness to it, but it's very simple, modern. It'll be easy to scale. Um, all of those things. And then the other thing that was cool about this one is there is a little tie-in to my previous logo. Like it's a different logo, but there's a little bit of carryover. And I did like that aspect of like being able to carry my old brand forward in some ways, but just, bringing it to a new level. Having done a lot of logos before and working with a lot of logos, there's some things like just in this stage that I can already foresee being issues with certain concepts about whether they're versatile or practical. And so I would definitely say in some ways that A was a very practical choice. Um, but I know what it's like to work with these things in the future and the challenges that other things can bring. And sometimes when you make an impractical choice, you end up changing it anyway. So I wanted something that would stand the test of time, something that was simple, that was classy, that had the message that I want baked in. But that would really carry me forward into this next season. And so here's the three concepts: the original, like horizontal version. I have another variation, and then what's called a submark 2. So there it is. Typography, here's the selections I made here was this classy sans serif that has this just unique elements to it. It's the devil's in the details. When you really look at some of the edges of the letters, they're just really, it's cool and unique, and I loved this script as well. I found it like relatable, but still elegant. And then I have like a very nice, clean sans serif for which that one you don't have to be as choosy about because you want something clean, and that's pretty much the basics with a little bit of your style, but you don't have to be as it doesn't have to be as like distinctive there. And then we got into patterns and textures. So this was one of them, and I show a little example of how I might use that here, just incorporating that natural element, the leaves. Here, I loved this kind of brushed floral look. I thought it would be cool and kind of add maybe a free-flowing, more natural approach, but also kind of distinctive and classy. And then there's this flower that I could use as a texture that I can put in the back of things. All right, so kind of pulling it all together, here's what my brand board looked like before. And here it is now. So that's wrapping it all together. You can see the logos at the top, the colors, the fonts, the style inspiration, and then the patterns at the bottom. So that is it, you guys. That is my new brand board. And coming up soon, I will have a new website, which I'm really, really excited about. That's something I'll be working on, and I'll try to kind of let you in on that process as well to an extent. So now I'm going to go ahead and share with you guys who the giveaway winners were. So the first giveaway was called the Service Provider Self-Care Kit, and that was a $25 Amazon gift card and a journal. And the winner of that is Morgan Flagg. So congratulations, Morgan. And I will be contacting you to talk about how I can get you your prizes. And then the grand prize winner, this one is the Service Provider's Business Boosting Bundle, which I was excited about because it has some great resources from other women in different areas of the service-based business. It included a 20-minute sales page copy audit by Vanessa Wild. There's a 30-minute messaging intensive courtesy of Peyton Moran. So she's wonderful at marketing. She can really help you dig into that. There's a pitch to podium course by Andrea Merrill. And I also will throw in my amplified branding course. So you get all of this. The grand prize winner gets all of this. And the winner of that is Kristen Derry. So congratulations, Kristen. I'll also be reaching out to you about getting your prizes as well. So congrats to both of you. I'm excited for you and would love to hear back on how these prizes are for you. So for those of you who are in a similar place where you're at a point in your business where you're like, okay, I have big dreams. I'm all in on my business, but you're ready to kind of move forward to that next step, that next place in your business that will bring you to that big scary dream I always talk about. You've seen some success in your business maybe, and you're ready to take it to that next level. And you might have like a working knowledge of your dream client. It's evolving, and you know that maybe you could dig in more on the nuances of that. You know the importance of branding, and you're starting to see maybe those gaps in your current brand or not feeling in alignment with it. And you want a professional designer who will be your partner with you, not just someone who's going to take over and make decisions that you're not happy with, or someone who also just does whatever you want and doesn't help you to get the actual results that you want. And you don't want to waste any more time. If this is you, then I would love to talk to you about what this rebrand process could look like for you. We can sit down on a call and look at your current brand, maybe where some of those gaps are, and see if I would be a good fit to help you move to that next level. If you liked this process going through with me, if you saw some elements of yourself in what I went through and you're ready to do that, put call in the comments, and I'd love to talk about what this rebranding process could look like for you. So with that, I think we're done, but thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for all of your feedback, for your perspectives, for coming along with me on this process. And I'm excited to share more aspects of my brand moving forward in this next week, as well as in the future. So have a great week.